Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's going to be another Chattin' with Alana. I'm still working on getting, all my stuff back in order for Chattin' with Alana / magazine flip throughs, or, kind of whatever the video is for Monday. Slow down on your rockin'. And then Wednesday tutorials, Friday, finish it Fridays. So today I'm going to, today I'm working on an upcoming tutorial, which are my stockings. I'm loving how my stockings are turning out. So I'm going to work on these, and while I'm working on these, I want to tell you guys, I took my mom out for her birthday recently, and I took her to a Teresa Caputo live, which is a Long Island medium. I took her to see that. She was at a event center here local to us, and I got tickets. My twin sister and my twin sister bought her ticket, and then I bought my ticket. I talked to my twin about it, and we decided that's what we wanted to do. My twin didn't want to go, so she's like, I'll buy mom's ticket, you just buy your ticket, and that'll be mom's birthday present from us. And I was like, all right, I'll do that, So that's what we decided to do. So I thought for today's video, for Friday's video, while I'm still working on getting my groove back, from moving my stuff from home to here, that's what I'm going to do for today's video. While I'm working on a stocking, one of my last stockings before the tutorial. Saying all that to say, that's what today's video is going to be about. Just yapping, and I want to tell you guys about that because, wow, it was pretty cool. So and that's not just going to be today's video, so... And I understand not everybody, believes in it. And I am not trying to shove this down anyone's throat. So nobody feel that way. I'm not trying to make anybody believe it, because I understand not everybody believes in it. And I get it. I totally get it. And I totally understand it. But, for those of you that don't know, or for those of you that are new here, new to my channel, in 2022, on Mother's Day morning, my mom... let me start it off by saying this first. I'm sorry. My little brother, my baby brother, out of all of my siblings, the youngest of my siblings, my brother has had a drug addiction and fought it for several years and OD'd a few times. And my brother, what I'm trying to say is that Mother's Day of 2022, my mom went to her garage where he was staying and found him OD'd on the floor. And this wasn't the first time. And this time was different. He had been there too long and he passed away. And she tried and tried and tried to revive him, and unfortunately was unsuccessful. I was at home, and my mom called and my uncle called, but I didn't answer. I saw them call on my phone, and it was one of those days that I had my headphones in, and I was hardcore cleaning. So I saw my phone ring both times, but I didn't answer because I was in the groove and I wanted to get my house clean. And I had my music turned up, and I call it jamming out, and I didn't want to answer because I was in the groove and I wanted to get my house cleaned, and I didn't answer. And I didn't answer. Well, then my husband called, and I was like, I gotta answer. So that's when he told me that my mom and my Uncle Philip called him and told me what happened. And he came and got me, and when we got to my mom's house, the ambulance was there. My mom was a mess. My Uncle Philip was holding it together. Uh, my, like I said, my mom was a mess. Matt, my husband, he was on the phone with my boss telling her what was happening. And my mom, I will never forget this for as long as I live. My mom had this purple and blue ring around her mouth where she was pushing her mouth on my brother's mouth so hard, trying to she was giving him mouth to mouth, and she was pushing so hard, breathing into his mouth from giving him CPR. And anyway, I'm telling you this story because that was in 2022. So fast forward to 2025, about June. That's when I found out Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, was going to be a local performance center on my mom's birthday. And I told my twin sister, I said, her name's Alicia. I said, sis, let's get mom tickets for her birthday. And I was like, even if nothing happens, my mom loves stuff like that. I was like, it'd be so cool. Let's go. Well, my sister's not into it, into her. She likes it, whatever. She doesn't want to go. And I'm like, all right. She goes, how about this? Alana, you pay for your ticket. I'll pay for mom's ticket. You two go. Happy birthday, mom. I was like, all right, let's do that. So she bought mom's ticket. I bought my ticket. Well, the 19th, which was last night, was the show. So I took mom. We park. We go inside, and we get there an hour early. We had these donor passes. So we got the donor passes plus the ticket passes. Well, the donor passes, you get this special parking, free popcorn, free soda, water, and special bathroom. And I was just kind of like, well, that's it. Do you get like anything else? And I called the night before, or the morning of. Yeah, I called the morning of, just to see, is there anything else? Because I didn't want to miss out on anything from my mom. And they're like, no, that's pretty much it. And I was like, all right. Well, I told my mom, I was like, Mom, let's just get there an hour early just in case, maybe there is something else. Well, there really wasn't anything else. The parking was the biggest benefit because holy cow, was that place packed. And I pulled up to the stop sign, and I'm like, Mom, I really don't know where to go. I know the lady on the phone said north parking lot, and I'm like, well, I know my directions. I know that's north, and I saw a little sign, and I was like, there it is. So I got to the stop sign, turned in, pulled up, and I'm like, I think this is where I can park. Shut the car off, lock the car, walked to a door, walked in. We got scanned, and we got an armband, got free popcorn, which the only thing I ate yesterday was a salad, chicken nuggets at lunch, and then the show started at 7:30. We got there at 6:30, and we got free popcorn, and they had prepackaged boxes of popcorn. Well, I don't eat popcorn because it's high carbs, so I'm like, okay, well, I didn't eat before we left because I was getting ready and everything, so I thought, well, I'll just eat a box of popcorn. So by the time we get there at 6:30, the doors open for the donor lounge. I'm like, I am starving. So I got 2 boxes of popcorn. I made my mom get 2 boxes of popcorn. So I ended up eating like 3 boxes of popcorn that are like that thick and like that tall. So I was like, I'm starving, Mom. Get 2 boxes. I'll get 2 boxes. So anyway, so we get there at 6:30. We get our boxes of popcorn. They didn't tell me I couldn't have 2, so I got 2, and I made my mom get 2. Mom's like, Alana, you hog. I'm like, I'm hungry. So we sit down an hour before this show starts, and we're talking. And I was like, man, I really hope something happens for you, Mom, so, you can have, talk. I'm trying to word what I'm trying to say. Something happens through her, you know, with Christian, and you can get some sort of a message or, you know, something, you know. And then I started talking with my mom, and we've never really talked about this. And I told my mom, I was like, you know, Mom, when it happened, and even still now, and this is hard to say, and anyone that's had an addict in their life, I think will kind of understand this. And I know this sounds mean, but it's the truth. I stopped loving my brother a long time before he died. And it's because of the hell that went on before the death. Maybe I shouldn't say stop loving. It hurt when he died and all of that. It's just, man, I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to word what I'm trying to say. He wouldn't change his lifestyle. So when it happened, he was not his name was Christian. He was not the Christian he was before. So, number one, when it happened, it wasn't a shock because we knew it was going to happen, first of all. And second of all, he was someone else. Does that make sense? Like, so I told my mom that, and my mom said, I know, Alana, I feel and felt the exact same way. And I told my mom, I said, you know, and just the anger, and I still am just so mad. Just like, ugh. And I told my mom, I was like, I remember when they wheeled him out on the stretcher, just looking at him. Sorry, I told myself I wasn't going to cry, but I told my mom, just like, whenever I saw him wheeled out on the stretcher in, you know, the body bag, and I remember saying to him how mad I was, and be like, how dare you, you son of a, look what you've done to Mom, what you've done to our sisters, our siblings, what you've done to my girls that loved you, that you were the best uncle. They loved you before, you know, he was on drugs, because they would play with him. And he was a strong kid, you know, he would pick them up and just toss them around like they were just a little bag of, you know, a little bag of beans, and he would just play with them. And to them, he was the coolest uncle, coolest person to play with. They loved him. And I remember thinking, just, so, but I told my mom that that's how I felt, and I was just completely shocked that my mom said, I felt the exact same way, Alana. She said, yeah, I love and miss him, but the grief is still so overtaken by anger, just anger. And I don't know, I was so taken aback by it because I didn't know my mom felt like that. Because I've never talked to her about it like that, because I always assumed she was so upset and, you know, still, you know, grief. I always just thought, you know, she was sad, and I never wanted to upset her. So, but anyway, I'm telling you all of that to, you know, to say, so the show starts. I didn't bring a pair of scissors. Dang it. Now I gotta pause my video again. hold on. Okay, sorry. But so the show starts and Teresa walks out, and if you guys know Teresa, or if you've ever watched the show, she is all glitzed out, hair super high, blonde, 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 tan, tan, tan. And she kind of goes on her little spiel where she's talking about, you know, she's interpreting spirits and what she sees, and you know, yada yada yada. And I don't know how this is gonna go. You know, are they just gonna, uh, is she gonna stay on stage and she's just gonna say, I kind of feel something over here or over here? You know, is she just gonna call a seat number? We don't know what's gonna happen. And I was shocked when I start seeing a camera crew come out of the corner of the like the little auditorium, and this auditorium is like the size of a high school gym, and like it's not big. And my mom, I could just see it on her face. Her heart sinks because my mom is not someone that likes to be the center of attention. So I can instantly tell my mom's like, I don't want to be on TV. Because, and what I mean by that is not TV as in they're filming for her TV show, but TV as in they're filming it so they have TVs so everybody in the auditorium can see on the TVs that are on the wall what's happening. You know what I mean? So like it's being broadcast on the wall so everybody in the room can see what's happening. And I instantly, I know my mom, and my mom's just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want Christian to come. I can see it. And I'm like, Mom. I was like, oh no, we're going to do it. I still want this to happen. But anyway, so, and I was actually shocked that I see Teresa come off the stage and she starts walking through the audience. And she comes down the stage and goes to the front, you know, everybody in the front. And she starts talking to, you know, the people in the front. And it's just, you know, it's about, you know, did your dad pass this and this? And, and she's talking to him, you know, your dad says this, your dad says this. And it's like, oh, you know, that's beautiful. You know, she gets this message from her dad and this and this. Well, you know, she's in the front. And then she makes a turn and starts coming, you know, towards me and my mom. And I'm like, oh, wow, you know, she's coming towards where our general vicinity. And this killed me. Bad choice of words, I realize. Sorry. And I can see my mom is just squirming. She's like, and I can tell my mom just does not want this. And, pause that story. I got my little remote. Pause that story. So if you guys watched any of my other videos before this whole show it was happening, I had told you guys that I had it planned that I was going to put a word on a piece of paper and then put the word in an envelope, and if anything was going to happen, I was going to ask whoever was going to come through to, you know, if it was real or whatnot, have Teresa say the word in the envelope, and then I would open the envelope and be like, she said the word. Well, then I took it a step further before we left, and I told Matt, my husband, I was like, honey, write down something, and if somebody comes through, if something happens, I'll have this person say what you wrote down. Well, for those of the few handful of people that watch my videos that know my husband, that personally know my husband, you all know that was about the dumbest thing I could have done. That's all I'm going to say. You know that was about the dumbest thing I could have done. Yeah. I read it. I opened it when I got home. Anyway, so back to the story. So we're sitting there. And Teresa is okay, so we're facing forward, right? Teresa's off to our side, and my mom is like 3 seats away from Teresa. Like, Teresa is right there. And she's so beautiful. And what am I doing? Red. I'm making this stocking in red. And so the camera guy is in front of Teresa. So the camera is going towards Teresa, past her, and then there's me and my mom's face on camera, and we're like... And my mom is just like mortified because you can see my mom's face on these 3 big TVs on screen, on the walls, I mean. And Teresa's like, okay. And like I said, if you've ever seen Teresa's show on TV, you know how she is. And she's like, sorry, I'm trying to get this color started. She says, my arm. Who passed from the arm? Somebody was severed. Someone was severed by the arm. And oh my gosh. She says this, and she keeps going. And if you've watched Teresa's show, when she starts doing this, she'll start going with her mouth, and she goes, something with the arm. And this girl, it was an older woman, I'd say 60s, and then maybe mid early 30s girl, woman, and then a girl maybe mid 20s setting here. So it was older, younger, young. And the 30-ish year old was like, I think that was my brother. He died in a car accident, and he was severed like in half. I'm sorry, I know this is going to get graphic, from the seatbelt in a car accident. And then, and all 3 of them are a family. It's aunt, sister. And Teresa kind of talks to him about this the brother. So the 2 sisters' brother. And she's, giving little messages. And then she's like, is there a sister that also passed in a car accident? And they all 3 are, still upset and crying. Well, the younger one, the 20-year-old, is just losing it. And I mean crying. I don't want to cry. And Teresa's like, another car accident. And she's just, the 20-year-old that's sitting here crying is the cutest blonde. And her eyes are just beet red. And she's like, what's the roses about? And she's like, today was her death anniversary, and I went and put roses on her grave. And then she says she was my twin. And I'm a twin. Sorry. And Teresa, when she does these readings, and she even said this at the beginning of the show, she says, I like to get deep, and then I'm gonna say something stupid to make you laugh, to keep it lighthearted. And she did, to try to make, to try to get the girl to laugh, because she was losing it. And I understood, because nobody will ever, unless you're a twin, a mother of a twin, a parent of a twin, will ever understand the bond. I hate crying. Anyway, or know what it's like to think what it would be like to lose your twin. Anyway, and this girl is losing it. And I am just sitting there struggling to not lose it, listening to this girl. And out of nowhere, this girl behind, and this girl had to be completely different girl. Had to be not the next row behind me, but the next row, the exact same seat behind me. So not the next row, but the next row, same seat behind me, is just bawling her eyes out. And Teresa sees the twin that she's talking to look at her, and she's like, why are you looking at her? And she looks at her and sees that she's crying, and Teresa starts walking towards her. So she's coming down the aisle looking past me, and I'm like, what's happening? And then Teresa starts talking to her, and I kid you not, you guys, this girl is the doppelganger to my daughter. Long brown hair, and I don't mean anything derogatory by this, but this is how my daughter looks. Long brown hair, my daughter has a longer neck, and she doesn't have an Adam's apple, but she has a very thin neck, so her esophagus looks like she has an Adam's apple. She has a very thin neck, and it's a little longer, and she's got glasses. She's got a little bit of acne. It's not bad, but she's got a little bit of acne. Long brown hair, glasses, and she's a little, not ditzy, but she just says things. This is what she does. She loves to make people laugh. So she will say something so dumb just to make you laugh. And she loves to do it. And you're just like, Jalen. And you know she's doing it just to say something stupid. And so, and the camera goes to this girl. And I look at my mom, and my mom looks at me, and I'm like, Jalen. And my mom goes, she looks like Jalen. That's my daughter. And this girl has just got tears pouring down her face. And Teresa looks at her, and she's like, give her a microphone. And the girl gets the microphone and tells Teresa that she was in the car with the twin that passed and said that she switched seats with her. And the twin that passed and the sister and the aunt had no clue that she was going to be there. No clue that she was going to be there. And everybody's just like, and, so she didn't say her name. I don't think she did. If she did, I didn't remember it. And she tells the story and says that, this is about to get heavy, about to get deep. She tells Teresa that something about, I think if I understood the story correctly, apparently they were getting in the back seat together. Something about she was in the twin seat, and the twin. Now hold on a minute, maybe. No, the twin was already in the vehicle. Right? Yeah. Yeah. The twin was already in the vehicle. The twin that passed was already in the vehicle. And they were supposed to switch seats, and she wouldn't. And they had the accident, and the twin passed, and this girl survived. And apparently this girl has been suffering, and I don't know how long ago the accident was, nothing like this, but wow, this girl has been having some major survivor's guilt. And the past twin is telling Teresa to tell this girl, you know, you've got to live your life. And it just goes on, and you know, it's just wow. And then it goes on to another story, and then it goes on to another story where this girl is talking about how, or well, sorry, I'm getting off track. Teresa then, finishes with her and then goes back to the twin that's still living, and uh you know basically gives her messages and things like that, and then goes to, just starts, ending that session, and then just starts talking to someone else and says, who has someone that passed that shot themselves? And it was a man that shot himself, and a mom and a stepdad was there, and the mom and the stepdad was actually right behind the aunt and the two sisters of the brother and the twin that died in the two separate car accidents. And the son that shot himself is giving these messages and saying these things to the mom and the stepdad about that shooting himself, and it just and everything is right. And she's like, do you have tattoos of dog tags or something? And did you have something wooden made? Or, I don't know, something on who's pregnant? And they're like, how did you know? Just like things like that. And it's like, I don't know. Anyway, well then out of the blue, Teresa's just like, who was stabbed 40 sometimes? And then clear across the auditorium, this woman raises her hand, and then it goes into this crazy story about an unsolved murder that my mom and I were like, how do we not know this story? Because it's a small community. And then we kind of got lost in the story, and I don't know. Anyway, it was an amazing night. And at the end of it, and the reason I'm ending that story was because it kind of got confusing, because a woman right next to us, like they had the handicap section like 6 or 7 seats away. A woman like just randomly fell out of her wheelchair and like hit head first into the bars, and I couldn't see what happened, and my mom couldn't see what happened either, and we were trying to look, and then out of nowhere, I'm assuming she was a nurse, I guess. I don't know why else someone would just be like bum rushing people to get to her. Like, just like I was leaning forward trying to see what happened, and just like this woman just like bum rushed past me and like pile drives me to get to and I like she hit me hard, and I'm like, well, I hope you were a nurse, because good Lord, woman. Like, she smashed my foot, and anyway, and then Teresa just like stopped in the middle of everything, and then went to the back of the stage, and then she was gone for like 5, 6, 7 minutes, and then came back, and then never went back to that woman. So it was kind of like a weird, I don't know if she just like took a break or what it was, but anyway, and then like she kind of picked up on someone else for a minute, and then went back to her, and then it was just kind of like, validate that your loved ones, yeah. And then I don't know, but anyway, and then it was like the end of the night, and by the time it was all over, it was like, holy cow, it's been like 2.5 hours. And then it was like, it was nothing after that. It was kind of like, I don't mean anything by this, but I don't know how. I'm not good with words, and any of you that have been with me for a while know that I'm not good with words. And so the way I'm going to say this, I don't mean for it to sound rude, but I don't know how else to explain it, but they weren't they were just like people that passed, you know, like old age or, you know, things like that. So it wasn't like, I'm just going to stop because I don't want to say anything that's offensive or hurt anyone's feelings. But anyway, so the rest of the night was pretty, it was a fun night, and my mom and I really enjoyed ourselves. So at the end of the night, you know, Teresa, it was a great show, and Teresa was like, you know, look at the person that you came with and tell them thank you for coming, and if you, you know, didn't get to talk to your loved one, still know that they're with you, and yada yada. And then the lights went dark, and then she left the stage, and then, you know, we got up to leave, and I grabbed my mom's belt loop, and my mom's the type of person that she's shoving through people to get to the door, and I'm just holding on to my mom, and we get out the door, go straight to the car, and everybody else is trying to, you know, get to their car, and I get in my car, and my mom makes it, and we get to the road, get to the stop sign, get to another stop sign, and hit the interstate, and we're flying home. So it wasn't that hard to get out the door. But anyway, on the way home, I told my mom, I was like, well, you didn't get to, you know, get a message from Christian or anything, but I want to say this to you, Mom. I feel like those people that got a message through Teresa needed it way more than we did. And she's like, I 100% agree with you, my Lord. And I said, yeah, wow, that little girl, good grief. I said, I told my mom, I said, I feel like I just wanted to stand up and go give her a hug and squeeze the daylights out of her and say, girl, you have a life. You have an amazing life to live. Live it. But it was well worth it. I enjoyed it a lot. I had a lot of fun. And I'm glad my mom enjoyed it. So, let me take a drink real quick. My coffee is cold. I hate cold coffee. Yeah, and I didn't get home until it was probably like 10:40 by the time I got home, and I was like, holy cow, I can't believe I'm still awake. I'm never awake this late. I'm always asleep at least by 8:30, 9 o'clock. Oop. But yeah, I am so proud of myself. I'm getting everything back in order with videos and tutorials and projects, and like right after this I'm going to go back to filming my next tutorial, and then this will be the next tutorial, so then I'll have time to work on Finish It Friday projects, which is going to be Yoshi. So what do you guys think of my stockings? I think they're so adorable. I love them. And I was so shocked. I never would have expected Granny Stitch stockings to be so to be as, what's the word I want to say, to be as complicated as it is. And it was the whole coming from the leg to the toe. So what I did is it's actually two pieces, and just you use one stitch, get it together, and then they're easy as can be, and I love making them, and they work up really quick. So I thought I'm going to make this red one, and then I'm going to do a tutorial on them, and then I have no idea what I'm going to do with them. So then tonight I have my follow-up with my gastroenterologist after my colonoscopy, and he will tell me how the biopsy on the polyps came back, which that's such a common thing. They do that with almost every patient with a colonoscopy, so I'm sure it's going to be fine. And then after that, let's see, today's Thursday, and then Friday, I think it's actually Friday, I have nothing, so I can get a lot of filming done. Saturday, oh, you guys, Matt threw his back out. Poor old man. He's 10 years older than me, so I always call him my old man. He hates it. I love it. But I always tell him he is a farmer, and if any of you know anything about a farmer, they have strength that no one knows. No one knows how strong a farmer is. There's two types of strength on a man in this world, right? Gym strength and then farmer strength. So gym strength you see. Like a man that has gym strength, they have the muscles and they show it off, yada yada. Farmer strength, you don't see. You don't see it on them. It's hidden. And then they go and they hug you, or they go to pick up something and you're like, holy cow. And yeah, so he'll go outside and he'll pick up a 200-pound, I don't know, piece of equipment or something to do with tractors or something, and he's perfectly fine. No problem whatsoever. I am not kidding you. He bent over to tape a box shut and threw out his back. Same day. The exact same day. He bent over and picked up a 200-pound piece of equipment on the farm, and he was okay. He bent over later that day to tape a box shut and threw out his back. So I've been babying him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he's been he's been sitting in the chair. I shouldn't say I've been babying him. I've been making him baby his back, but he refuses to. He still gets up and moves around. He's doing better today. He threw it out. Today's Thursday. He threw it out Tuesday, right? Yeah, he threw it out Tuesday. And it's slowly getting back to normal, which this is like the second time it's happened since we've been at the farm. And I've told him over and over and over again to go to the doctor, do something about it, but he refuses because he's afraid what's going to happen. Well, he knows he needs surgery, and he's afraid that after surgery, what he's going to be like. And I told him, we all know what it's going to be like after surgery, honey. It's what's going to happen if you don't do surgery. It's what's scary. Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say before that. I was going to say something before that. Man, I don't remember. Dang it. I don't know. I don't remember what I was going to say. I was talking about before Matt threw his back out. What was I talking about? I don't know. Anyway, so with these stockings, I also for Christmas wanted to do a Christmas tree skirt tutorial, and I have that going. I have like the initial start of it, and I got my color scheme worked out for it too. And I don't want to do just red, green, and white. I want to do it a chevron. Oh, excuse me, but a different. I don't want to just do like. I don't want to do just red, green, and white. I want to do like red, green, white, red, green, white, red, white, red, white. I have it written down for Pete's sake. I don't know. You'll see it, and it's going to be beautiful. So I'm excited about that. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. But I was really excited to come on camera and tell you guys about that because my mom and I agreed. As soon as my mom saw that you were going to be on a TV screen in front of that whole entire auditorium, my mom was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, I knew it. And then at the end of it, my mom was like, yeah, the people that got messages through Teresa needed it a lot more than my mom did. And even at the end of the show, Teresa was like, you don't need me to tell you what you already know in your heart. You know, what you already know and feel from your past loved ones. You don't need me to tell you. They've already told you. You know, she says something to that effect. I don't know. But anyway, it was, some of the stories were pretty beautiful, and it was just, oh, let me tell you, this was the cutest thing. There was and she was a very pretty, I bet she was, I forgot about this one. I bet she was, I would say 70 to 75 years old. Fit, very fit woman, short to her head here, and a little longer hair at the top. Pretty face, slightly wrinkled, earrings, and I thought it was very odd. She was dressed like a man. She had a red shirt, suspenders, but jewelry. Like, she had a lot of jewelry, and but she was an older woman, and I was just like, why is she wearing suspenders? Whatever, I don't care. I was just like, I like her choice. I love that she was very feminine, makeup, jewelry, her hair, but she was wearing a red t-shirt with suspenders, and she had her jacket off, and it was like around her chair. I was just like, I like that choice. Very, very unique choice. Something I would probably wear. Anyway, Teresa walks to the side of her, and she's like, your husband passed. Or did your husband pass? And she said, yeah. And she said, are you here by yourself? And she said, yes. And Teresa could not get past that this woman was here by herself. And she's like, you came all by yourself. And she's like, yes, I'm here by myself. And she's like, all the people here have 4, 5, 6, 2, people that they've come with, and you are here all by yourself. And she said, your husband even just looked at me and said, Teresa, she's here by herself. And Teresa looks at her and says, would your husband say something like that? And she goes, oh yeah, he'd say, why the hell are you here by yourself? And Teresa goes, yep, that's what he just said to me. And I am just like, I love this woman. That, meaning the woman that she's talking to, not Teresa. And Teresa starts telling her these, things about her husband, and she's like, when your husband passed, you had to make a decision or something to the effect of, you had to move stuff. And she's like, yeah, I had to move all of his stuff. We had to live in the living room. I had to move all of his clothes and all of his stuff to the living room. And she said, which, she's not saying why or anything like that. And Teresa goes, your husband just looked at me and said, I couldn't find a damn thing anywhere. She moved everything. And I was like, that is so my husband. He gets so mad at me because I move his stuff all the time. So, and she's just, this woman's, she's crying and laughing, and I'm just like, I love this. But that was one that you were crying with the woman, but you were laughing because it was, I connected with her, because I was like, I feel you, because my husband would be the same way. He's always mad at me because I always move his stuff, and then he's like, where'd you put this? I'm like, I don't know. I put it somewhere. And then it's always, it's so funny because he knows I'm gonna move it. If you put it somewhere it doesn't go, I'm gonna move it. And then when you ask me where I moved it, I can't tell you where I moved it because I don't know where I put it. So then why do you put it somewhere that it doesn't go? Because you know I'm gonna move it. Oh man, it cracks me up. So then I always turn the tables on Matt, because he knows it drives me nuts when he puts things on the dining room table, because it irks me. And I tell him the dining room table is to eat at. So when you set things on the dining room table that is not food, a plate that has food on it, or anything of the sort, it's gonna get moved. I'm gonna put it somewhere. So when you set something on the dining room table that is not dinner related, I'm gonna move it. So when that happens and you get mad at me because I move it and I can't remember where I put it, it's not my fault. It's yours. So then it's a running joke in our house. Not my fault, it's yours. But anyway, I am all over the place right now because I'm still on a high from last night. That was pretty fun. And then I got to spend the night with my mom. It's been a long time since I've been able to spend that much time with my mom. I had fun. Oh man, I'm trying to think of anything else I could tell you guys. Something else to tell you guys about. I really don't have much else to talk about. Yeah, I do. Oh my gosh. I have never had this happen before. I am so aggravated about this. I had a plan to finish this thing, not finish it, but get a lot of it done, but it is really hard for me to crochet and yap with you guys. Um I order not quite a bit, well, if I'm being honest, I do order about once a month. I like to order things for myself off Amazon. And it's not just, some of it is things that I need, some of it's things I don't need. Okay, I just did something that I don't mean to do. I want to pause my Amazon story. I got my remote. Let me pause my Amazon story, okay? If you're new to my channel or you just don't know this about me, I am deaf in one ear. And my husband has to remind me that I do get loud. And I don't mean to do it. I can't hear as well as I used to. So I just did it. I just did get really loud and I didn't mean to. So I'm sorry that I did that. Actually the other night, honey, I call him honey. I didn't mean to just call him that, but Matt told me the other night, he was like, honey, you're being really loud. I know you're deaf in one ear and you can't hear yourself sometimes. So just take it down. So I'm sorry that I just got really loud. What I was trying to say was that not all the stuff that I order is a necessity, but some of it is a necessity. So back to Amazon. Some of it's stuff I want, some of it's a necessity. But I have never had this happen before. So when I order stuff off Amazon, I keep things in my cart for a little bit, and then about once a month I make this big order. So with my birthday present, my husband bought me something that I had been wanting since it came out a couple months ago, which was a Switch 2. These are not cheap. All right. So whenever I get things that are not cheap, I want them protected. So that means, like with my phone, when my husband got me my phone for Valentine's Day, I think it was, the first thing I got on Amazon in my cart was a screen protector and a case, a protective case to keep them in pristine, to keep them pristine as long as possible. So when I got that Switch for my birthday, the first thing I put in my Amazon cart was a protective case and a screen protector. And then I also, in a past video, I don't remember when I said this, but I want a water bottle that has a line for each hour to keep myself drinking water, because I know that I don't drink enough water. And I'm sick of hearing my husband tell me that I don't drink enough water. And this actually has a line for the hours that I'm awake. Because every water bottle that I've ever seen like that has these hours that I am not awake. So I'm not drinking water at 9 o'clock at night. This has water, like I am awake from 4 to about 8. And this has lines from 7 to, I think 8 o'clock. So I would drink water about 8 o'clock. Anyway, and I had that in my car, a water bottle, and then I had my little craft magnets. And I had a case for my Switch, a glass protector, my magnets, my water bottle. Yes, that's all I had in my cart. And I ordered it. And it was supposed to be delivered yesterday, my mom's birthday. The morning of the delivery, I look at my Amazon, and it is in the city that it is supposed to be in, to where it says out for delivery. Well, when I look at it, it says unexpected delay. I don't know. I don't remember the exact wordage, but unexpected delay. And I'm like, what the heck? I've never seen that before. So I look at it, and it says, this isn't exactly what it says, but it says, package is damaged, returning to sender, will update on November 20th in more detail, which is today. Today's November 20th. And I'm like, which I have not taken my Switch off the dock because I do not want it scratched. I don't want anything wrong with this. I leave it right where it is because I want it to be pristine. And I'm like, I want my water bottle. I want to play my Switch in my handheld mode because that's what it's perfect for. So I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I've never had that happen before. So I was like, okay, I'm too excited and that was yesterday, right? So yesterday I was like, I am too excited about Teresa today. I'll deal with it later. So this morning I got up and I got on customer service, which I didn't know that you could chat with customer service on Amazon like this, but of course I know that it's AI. You're not actually chatting with a representative. So I got on Amazon's customer service and I was chatting, and I didn't know that they're going to refund the entire order, but it's going to take a couple of days. So what I did was I just reordered everything and I put it on my credit card, and then they're just going to, refund everything later. So I just reordered everything. So now everything should be delivered Monday, which is the same day that I have my appointment with my new gynecologist. And hopefully I can get my tubal ligation done before we go to Maui in December. And my good friend from YouTube at Kay's Crochet Haven, pardon me, told me that, Alana, you dodged a bullet with getting that IUD because they are absolutely horrible, and that's the third horror story I have heard about these IUDs, and it was just like, you know what, Kay? I think you are right. I did dodge a bullet with these IUDs, and I am so excited. And you know what? Oh, I am so sorry. Your name just escaped my mind. The one who commented on my last video about the tubal ligation not throwing you into menopause, you are 100% right. Well, I don't know 100%, but you are right. I don't think it does throw you into menopause because you still have your ovaries, I think. I asked my mom about it, and my mom's like, yeah, she's right. It doesn't put you into menopause. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know that. So, thank you for commenting that, and you're right. So fingers crossed, knock on wood, all that stuff, that when I have my appointment Monday, they give me good news and they can get me in, because it's just an outpatient procedure, right? Like, it's not a whole, like, it's just laparoscopic, I think. Like, they just make a little incision, like a little insertion and with their little things, and beep, 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 and it's done. I hope. I am so ready just to be done with this. Like, why is it so... And I understand, I know, and I'm going off on a tangent. I wish it was easier I don't mean easier, but I wish it was just as easy for a woman to be like, hey, you know, I want this all taken care of for reproductive... I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say, right? Clear as mud. It's just frustrating that... And I understand why it's the way it is. And I realize I'm not finishing my sentences what I'm trying to say. It's just, I wish that in the healthcare system that it wasn't so... a woman has to have this birth control, a woman has to have this, you know, tubal ligation, a woman has to have this, a hysterectomy, you know, all of this, where it's like, why is it such an ordeal for a man to go do this? Like, I don't know. Anyway, like, why is it that a man has to feel like he's losing his manhood to go... why can't I not... a vasectomy. It's like, why... Yeah. Anyway. Why does a woman have to pay out the butt for that when... I understand it's a little more intricate, but still, just... it's frustrating. But anyway, I'm gonna get off here. I'm making a fool of myself in my videos. I hate it when I do that. But I will, I won't, I'll update you guys as soon as I can. I won't be able to update you Monday because Monday is the day of the appointment, but yeah. Well, I can update you Monday on today's appointment. I keep forgetting I have a doctor's appointment today. But I am gonna get out of here because I want to go work on this tutorial. And yeah. So I'm gonna get out of here. I'm done yapping. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't so you don't miss what's next. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.